This is so dumb. I can't believe Lynch and Shanahan are just admitting to the world, yeah, we had to seriously consider getting rid of our 28-year-old for a 43-year-old, because who wouldn't? Well, I'll tell you who wouldn't. The Chiefs wouldn't, the Seahawks wouldn't, the Texans wouldn't, the Packers wouldn't. Well, the Packers, who knows at this point? The Saints wouldn't. You want me to keep going? Philly didn't. Dallas didn't. The Titans could have, and they chose Ryan Tannehill over him. Like, you know who does think about bringing in Tom Brady? Teams that don't like their quarterback, because he's 43 years old, coming off the worst year of his career. And if you're going to have these discussions privately, so be it. To admit them publicly is lunacy. And the only possible explanation is they want Jimmy G to be more motivated or know he's on the clock. He should be at peak motivation anyway, since he had the game-winning Super Bowl pass in his hand and he overthrew it by 7 yards. But also, he knows that he needs to upgrade a level or two to get them to where they want to be. I don't understand at all, Wilds, why they are publicly giving these flowers to Tom Brady at the expense of their quarterback. It's just baffling to me.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. We had George Kittle on the show, and George Kittle sang Jimmy G's praises and talked about how great the team was and how great their chemistry was. The guy's a winner. He's 23-6 in his starts. Yeah, he threw 8 passes. What do you want him to do? He got you to the Super Bowl. I feel like that 8 passes thing is constantly brought up and used to knock Jimmy G. It's like, but in any other sport, he would be viewed as a guy that was doing what it took to win. I think this is lunacy, Jenna. I don't know why they just don't throw their support 100% behind Jimmy G and never talk about anything else besides Jimmy G's our guy.
Greg, what do you think? Is this something or nothing? Why are the Niners still talking about this?
Well, it's nothing. It's truly nothing. But when you're a young kid and your name is Tom Brady and you've grown up in the Bay Area and your idol was Joe Montana and your favorite team was the San Francisco 49ers, and then you have this illustrious Hall of Fame career and you come available, I would think that they would be smart enough to at least throw that out there to their fans, to those who are supporting them, to let them know, you know what, we did have interest in Tom Brady. It just, for some reason, didn't work out. So it's nothing. This was them doing their due diligence and making sure their fans are at ease with the fact that Tom Brady was available and we didn't even try.
Niner fans, I know you don't like this story, but don't take my word for it. Let's just listen to what your head coach had to say about your quarterback in comparison to what he had to say about Tom Brady. Here is a Kyle Shanahan quote from this same interview about Jimmy Garoppolo. He had some ups and downs, but I think he finished the second half of the year playing so much better than the first half. Didn't have to do a lot in the playoffs, but I can't wait to get back where he's not worrying about his ACL all offseason either. He's just grinding film, getting ready for the season. Hopefully he learned a lot from last year. That was on his quarterback. Here is Kyle Shanahan on Tom Brady. We had to seriously discuss and decide whether to go forward where it could come close or not. If you would have asked us right after the Super Bowl, I mean, Tom Brady, everyone knows what Tom Brady is, how unbelievable he's been. But if you asked us right after the Super Bowl, it's unheard of. It's a pipe dream. You don't really think about it. I mean, guys, he is looking for other options. Like, this is clear. There's a dozen teams that aren't. Go ahead, Jenna.
A lot of that was tone. You really put a lot of emphasis into Kyle Shanahan's comments and not so much emphasis when he was talking about Tom Brady. I know, because I get in trouble with my texting oftentimes that my tone is off. But, Greg, you're a former player. We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo now, and he might have felt slighted with all of this. Like, why are we so worried about how these athletes feel? I mean, did you feel as sensitive? Like, are we so worried about Carson Wentz or Aaron Rodgers? Well, how are they going to feel that they brought someone else in? As a former player, if you were in Jimmy Garoppolo's position, would you feel slighted? Would you feel motivated? Would you be like, who cares? It's my job. Here I am going to go play football. Tell me what would be in your head.
I think it would be a culmination of both emotions. You would feel a little slighted, a little disrespected that they would even consider it, being that you feel like I am one of the main reasons why we got to where we were last year at a Super Bowl contending team. But then at the same point, in the same breath, you're like, well, the teams are going to always do their due diligence. Now, me being on this side of it, I look at it completely different. A receiver, a running back, a defensive lineman, a cornerback, all these different positions, we look at more than just one individual. We want teams to have depth. But at the most important position, you better not consider looking at another quarterback. I don't get it. If teams are really built on sustaining success, then why not make sure or ensure that in case something were to happen to my most important, most valuable asset, I have something else that we can insert that doesn't derail us as a franchise or where we're headed in this specific season. I don't understand it. So I don't mind teams looking at multiple quarterbacks. Nick,
Greg,
I know you don't agree.
Well, Greg, I got a question for you. We were talking about a story when you were getting older and guys were talking trash to you, and you said that it actually got in your head. And can you describe how at different points in your career you were ironclad in your confidence and at other times it wavered? Because I think what we're all confused about is the amount of confidence that Jimmy G has. Does he need to be built up, or is he so secure that nothing can affect him?
Well, first, let me touch on what you said about myself. So I was running a route, beat a DB, or I had a step on him, but he looked at me and he was like, oh, man, you're losing the step. This is right after my abdominal surgery when I came back my last year in Green Bay. And it had me thinking like, man, did I really lose a step? Now I'm older. You start thinking a little bit different. But in Jimmy Garoppolo's case, he's a young quarterback that understands, trust and believe. He understands that he could have played a lot better than what he did last year, specifically in the most important game. And so when you listen to your head coach say all the things that Nick just read to us about what he didn't do because we didn't rely on him because we had such a great running game, that does start to play with you a little bit. And you start to read the clippings. You start to listen to those things. I don't care how young you are. Yes, sometimes you can buzz through that. But when you're a quarterback and you hear that we've gotten to where we were and it really had nothing to do with you, you just kind of held us together, you don't like hearing those types of comments.
All right, a couple things just quickly before we move on. Greg, the reason I was making the face during your comments is they would not have been bringing in Tom Brady to compete with Jimmy Garoppolo. They talked about getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not we're bringing in Brady in case Garoppolo gets hurt. He would be taking his job. It's not Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts. It would be, you're gone now. We're trading you away. That's what would have happened. And this is simple. Guys, the Niners, in a sport where the career expectancy is 4.5 years, consider replacing a guy with someone who is 15 years older than him. The only reason you do that is if you think deep down your quarterback's not good enough. It is, Niner fans got mad at me all year, all playoff run. Jimmy G's better than you think, Nick. Well, then he must also be better than your coach and GM think, because they had multiple conversations that they have now both referenced saying we considered replacing a 28-year-old with the oldest quarterback in the history of the league. That is the lead of the story. Everything else is just noise.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.